Welcome to the Childcare Genius podcast, proud to be the world's #1 community for brilliant childcare leaders. Each episode will feature interviews with the brightest minds in the childcare industry to guide you into becoming a smarter business leader. Our hosts have opened 10 schools while raising 5 children. They are certified business coaches and are the top-selling childcare business book authors of all time. This episode is sponsored by Elif Childcare Insurance. Give Blake a call at 972-232-2258 to get a free quote on childcare business insurance today. Let's welcome to the Childcare Genius podcast our hosts, Brian and Carol Duprey.
Welcome to episode 37 of the Childcare Genius podcast.
We're your hosts, Brian and Carol Duprey. Before we get started, I wanted to talk to you about one of the books that we have available. It's called The Art of the Tour. If you or your directors or your team have any issues or concerns and have a problem enrolling children, meaning to say is if you're not full, you might want to look at your tour strategies. And in this book, we put together a bunch of tips, tactics, tips, and tools to increase tours and conversions at your childcare center. We talk about how to have a script. We talk about how to have a tour checklist that you do pre-tour, post-tour, and during the tour, things check-off sheet. We teach you how to do a tour, and we teach you the most important part of the tour, which is the follow-up. And it's a very important book. We're selling this right now on our website at childcaregenius.com/books. It is an amazing book. And again, I think it's selling for $9.99 on our website right now. And it's more than that. I think it's $14.99 Amazon. So if you go to our website, you can get that book. And there's a lot of tips, tools, and tactics in there. And I hope that'll help. But if you're struggling with enrollment or your directors are struggling with enrollment and you're not full, you definitely want to look at your tour processes. And you should be closing about 35 to 40% of your tours. And keeping track of that. If you're not, then you probably need some help, and we'll be happy to help you with that. So that is available as a resource for you. And today, the guest on the podcast is the most beautiful woman in the world, and her name is Carol Duprey. And at least in my opinion, she is. And I think the opinion of 3 or 4 billion people, that would probably be the same thing, because she's the most important person in my life. And she's also the vice president of Little Angels Early Learning Center in Central Maine. I'm going to interview Carol today on how she managed to run our child care centers while raising 5 children, homeschooling them. And she's the hardest working person I know. And I figured you get a lot of this interview because a lot of times you hear from me, you've heard from me a lot. I do most of the talking. Seems like I dominate the conversation a lot. But she has a lot to say, and we wouldn't be where we are today in our childcare business without her. I may have been the expansion guy, but she's the one who's kept everything together. She does all the staffing and holds the pieces of the pie together. When I was in charge of staffing, I had a lot of people quit on me because I ran it like a military operation. She's definitely the brains behind the success of our school. So are you ready to be interviewed on the podcast? All right, this is going to be fun. So Carol, can you tell our listeners how you got into the childcare field?
Well, I started out we moved to Maine, and I was 8 months pregnant with our 3rd child, and I needed a job. Neither one of us had a job, and I got a job with a company that had a construction company and a childcare center, and I did their books and worked in their office. And after several months of working for them, they decided to close the childcare center because it just wasn't doing well. And the other person that worked there, her and I decided to take it over. And we took it over in exchange for watching their son for free. And that's how I got into the childcare business. We moved the center into my house after a few months and did that for a few years, and then decided that we needed our house back. And we opened our first center.
Inside our church.
Inside of our church. Yes. We talked with our church, and we put a fire system in and very low rent and started our first center. Yeah. And at that time I was pregnant with our 4th child.
Yeah, that was the year 2000.
Yes.
That we moved into our first center of our home. We were in a home, I think, for 3 or 4 years. Yeah. And I remember finding a bologna sandwich inside our VCR, and that was it.
Yeah.
That was the last straw. So we got to get out of here. So thankfully our church was
Yeah.
acceptable to us moving in.
Plus, I worked 6 to 6 every day and got no days off because it was in my house.
Yeah. It's a lot different than
Yeah.
when we moved it to a center.
Yes.
And so you tell our listeners how much involvement you have with day-to-day operation of our childcare business today. We've got multiple locations, and you are pretty much, you run everything. I spend more time coaching. You run 95% of the business. What's your day-to-day involvement?
Currently, I have very little day-to-day involvement. We do weekly meetings every Monday with the management team and the directors, but they pretty much handle the day-to-day operations. If they have issues, they talk to me. And of course, I always make sure that the finances are in order. And other than that, I really have very little involvement unless there's an issue that comes up, which is it's been a process. I mean, it's like Brian said, it's kind of hard to let go, but I think that it's great. Sometimes I go away and things get better.
They run smoother, right?
They do. I come back and they say, hey, we did this while you're gone and this while you're gone. And yeah, so it's great. I can trust them completely. I never have to worry about anything.
Yeah, and that's when you have systems in place, standard operating procedures, systems, they know what to do.
Right.
And you trust
Exactly.
them and empower your team to make decisions without you.
I know if they can't get a hold of me, they'll make a decision and I'll stand by that decision.
Yep. Yeah, we never fault them for making a decision on their own. Even if it's wrong, we can't fault them for it because we've made wrong decisions too in the past. So what was the hardest part of raising 5 children while building a multi-million-dollar childcare business?
I think the hardest part was that sometimes I felt like my kids came second. I did homeschool, but they did a lot of their schoolwork on their own. They were very good at self-starting. And but I think that, I mean, especially talking to them now as they're older, they're like, we kind of always felt like the daycare kids came first and, we came second. So I think that was the hardest part. And you don't even realize it sometimes. So I wish that I had worked earlier to get more out of the running of the centers. And I know that I wouldn't say that I would say that's one thing I would change. I hate to say I'd change anything in the past, but that is one thing that I wish that I had been more involved in with them and not so involved with the centers in the beginning.
I agree. And I wish we would have got systems in place that we were delegating things. We were just cheap. We didn't want to pay a maintenance guy. So we did all our maintenance on the weekends.
Right.
We did too much ourselves to make more money, which helped us, we got the wealth built up, which helped us with expansion, but at the sacrifice of time with our kids. So that's the one advice we could probably give to other people as they're building theirs. Get your systems in place early, trust your people, delegate. If you're going to build multiple schools, make sure that you take weekends off and don't work all the time and have cutoff times at the end of the day and work on your marriage and work on your family time and don't be all consumed. Delegate, live within your unique genius, and I think they'll be much happier. Learn from our mistakes.
I will say that one thing that did come from that was good though is 4 of our 5 children work for us now.
Yeah.
And hopefully they will take over the centers and it will stay
and
in
the
the
fifth one
family.
only doesn't work for us because she doesn't live in the area.
Yeah.
If she she probably would too as well. So they're all good employees. They're senior management, and our son is our maintenance supervisor. And they're all enjoying what they do and kind of love what they do, and they're making a difference in the world. And they a lot of them run it in our absence, so we trust them. And I think another advice we give is, did we ever treat our kids different than anybody else?
Never treat our kids different in the centers when they were younger. I never had the teachers give them priority in any way. And when they started as employees, they were treated just like any other employee. They had to ask for time off. They have to, abide by the same rules as
But
everybody
not
else
ask us for
does.
time off, ask their supervisor.
Right.
And they were denied just like everybody else,
Yeah.
never treated any different. They made the same pay. They had to go through the same promotion
Right.
process and never got an artificial leg up. And the good thing about doing it that way is because now they're in leadership, they have respect of the team because
Right.
they were assistant teachers, they were teachers, they were assistant directors, they were directors. And
Mhm.
now, my daughter's an operations manager. They have the respect because she's done every job at the center.
Right.
And same thing with our daughter, Angel, who's a director at one of our schools. She started out as an assistant teacher and just slowly worked her way up during college. And she got her college degree. And now she's a great leader of one of her programs. She's only 26 years old, but she's got people working twice her age and they respect her because she's done everything. And she's never was, daddy's little girl or mommy's little girl that got an artificial leg up. But if your kids work for you, make sure you do not treat them any differently, because the staff will never respect them if you do. So I think that's probably good advice when it comes to that. And don't pay them any more than you would a regular teacher. Don't give them anything, because then they won't learn to appreciate it. They need to be able to make the wages the teachers make to be able to appreciate the teachers for what they do and what they work for.
Right.
Absolutely. So Carol, you vacation in the Caribbean 3 to 4 times a year for almost the last 20 years with your amazing stub muffin husband. His name is Brian, even when he had small children. So why have you always made that a priority, and how are you able to get away from your school so often?
Well, I think you have to make it a priority to get away for several reasons. One, because you have to recharge. If you're working every day, you get burnout. So you have to take that time to recharge. And we preferred to take it without children because it's hard to recharge when you're with your children because you're still working.
And it's exhausting if you're coming back a week vacation with children.
As you also, staying at home with your children is a harder job than being a childcare center teacher even.
Yeah. And if we found out it made it better parents.
Yes.
Being time away, because it made them appreciate us not always being around, and they wanted to be home.
Yeah.
So yeah, they liked it when we're gone, but they sure wanted us to come back. And that recharge and working on us, and having fun and setting our goals. We do a little work while we're gone. We're setting goals, we're planning, but we're also just unwinding, relaxing, sleeping in, getting room service, and enjoying our life. And now we're gone probably 70, 80 days a year. About a quarter of the year we're somewhere traveling for work or vacations. And again, our businesses run without us, and kind of a good place to be.
We did that by having an amazing team in place. Our executive director, we've had 3 different ones over the years, and they've all been amazing. And they know how to run the centers, they know our systems, and they're great leaders. So I think that having a great team in place is what allowed me to do that.
So if Carol and I've had conversations about, spending winters in Florida. Do you think with the systems you have in place now, something like that could be done, and if you still owned your schools and didn't sell them, they could be run that way?
Absolutely. Yes. I mean, there was times during COVID that things were I got pulled in a little bit more just because of staffing, but now things are back to where they used to be, and I can get away and not have to worry.
Yeah. You shouldn't have to look at snow if you don't want to, right?
Right. I never want to. Never.
Pictures. Hard to ride a snowmobile on grass, though.
That's okay. I can do without that.
ATV. So we're both adrenaline junkies. We like adventure. We zip line around the world together and do crazy things. We jumped out airplanes together. We just we're really just love having fun together. And recently Carol jumped off the stratosphere, Nevada's tallest building, without a parachute, mind you, while she was attached by a rope. And it was like 1,000 feet up. And she just jumped off without hesitation. You can go to YouTube on our YouTube channel and watch the video. They wouldn't let me do it because I have a heart condition, so I wasn't very happy. But anyway, why do you like thrill seeking, and what other things do you have planned?
First of all, Brian would not be an adrenaline junkie if it wasn't for me.
You're probably right.
I kind of got him into that, but I think that there's a couple things. I'd like to zip line, the longest zip line, the fastest zip line, the tallest zip line. I like zip lining. And also, we have jumped out of an airplane tandem. I would like to do it solo. I would love to do that because that is just, I don't know, the ultimate, just falling from the sky.
Why do you wear a helmet doing that? It seems kind of dumb, doesn't it?
It does. But I think that I just would like to, I don't know, go to different places and see what kind of adventures I can do at those places.
Yeah, so that's what we're doing now in our older years. We're still young, but we're still adventure seeking, still doing that. And even last year, we zip lined in Jamaica for the first time. We did that in January, which was exciting. It wasn't as thrilling as the one in St. Martin last year, which was the world's tallest one. We went up like 2,500 feet and dropped 1,000 feet in a zip line. That was absolutely incredible. So we love that. We're not afraid of heights. We're not, Carol's less afraid of heights than I am. I'm still afraid of them, but I do it anyway because life should be life should be lived outside of your comfort zone.
I think that I'm in the adrenaline stuff. I'm trying to find something that scares me. I haven't found it yet.
Yeah, well, if I don't scare you when I first wake up in the morning, and I look pretty rough, that doesn't scare you.
Yeah. We were in Barbados, and we were at this restaurant at the top of the building, and I just looked, I'm like, it would be so cool just to jump off this building.
Yeah, see what I have to live with adventure seeking. I've got to always live up to that. So I think it'd be exciting to go run and jump in the lake right now. It's water's 33 degrees. That'd be exciting. So this interview wasn't so bad, was it? No.
The guest was incredible.
Yeah, and the host, he's hot. You can see we have a lot of fun together, and she is my secret sauce. And whenever I go somewhere and I talk about podcasts, oh yeah, Carol, she's such an amazing host. I'm like, what am I, chopped liver? Like everybody loves Carol more than me. I get it. She's the hottie of the couple. She makes me look good. And I appreciate you coming on today and sharing some things. And I think people can relate. People with children, people who only have one school, they'll relate to a lot of things you said today. And if you're working together, husband and wife, it's not easy. It's something we've done together for 25 years. We've had a lot of challenges. It hasn't been easy, but you figure it out. And if there's any way we can help you, reach out, info@childcaregenius.com. If you need help in your childcare business, like a free coaching call with me on any area you might be struggling. If you're a center owner, I work primarily with center owners, licensed for, 49 or above. If you're a center owner and you need help, just go to childcaregenius.com and under the coaching tab, select do a free coaching call with Brian. And I'll spend 45 minutes with you or so helping you out with where you're struggling in your business, give you 2 or 3 action items you could take and implement in your program right way. There's no cost or obligation, just a way for us to give back and help the community that we love so much, which is childcare. So this is going to conclude episode 37 of the Childcare Genius podcast. Thank you so much for spending time with us today. And just a reminder, Carol.
Just a reminder. Sorry, I was a guest.
You were looking at no. She was looking at me on that little screen that we have above, and she was mesmerized, like, "Oh my god, I can't wait for this episode. He is so hot."
Still in guest mode.
Wake up, Carol. You're a host now. We don't edit this. We have fun. We're not polished.
Just a reminder to hit the subscribe button so you won't miss a future episode of the Childcare Genius podcast.
We'll see you next week if we're still here. Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Childcare Genius podcast. If you enjoyed the show, please do us a favor and hit the subscribe button so you don't miss a future episode. Don't forget to visit our website at childcaregenius.com to see a list of services we offer to help grow your childcare business. Until next time, thank you for being a part of the Childcare Genius community.